So this is now the third part of the story of my life. So my husband and I had moved to this house. We had our 4 kids. That was grand, and I had worked part-time, a wee job, while it was like 2 days a week or whatever, while he done his proper job. He was financially floating and we were doing much better. He was in a far better job. I probably really didn't need to work, to tell you the truth. We were on enough money at that time. We didn't really go on holidays. We would have went camping and things like that there, but I mean, that was better for the kids being small. Yep, and everything was tickety-boo, and then the recession hit in, I can't remember what year that was, 15 possibly. Yeah, I think it was the start of 2015, or yeah, because I started university. Would have been the year before, possibly. I had enrolled in a course. Yeah, that's what it was. I had enrolled in a part-time course. Actually, hold on, let me get this right. The recession hit, and then my husband lost his job. He was devastated. He was kept on as one of the last before they had shut the whole shop, but it was an American firm, and the recession had hit America as well, and they wanted to take all their work back to America. So the business he worked for was American or Canadian, doesn't matter. He was made redundant, so we were in a bit of diffs financially, but the Lord always makes a way, and we were able to get some benefits to help us with our housing and stuff like that. And I just was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And the job market for like manufacturing and what my husband was working as was non-existent. Like, all the men were trying to get jobs. People lost their houses and everything. A lot of his friends had got mortgages and things that were ridiculous, and the whole market crashed, and they got their houses repossessed, and yeah, it was just bad. But we weren't in that position, to be fair. We were okay because we rented, which is bizarre because we had tried to buy that house I don't know how many times. So there you are, like, as I always say, God goes before you, and he was already before us in that situation. We weren't able to get a mortgage for the house that we were in. We really wanted to buy there, we wanted to stay there, but obviously that was for a time in the season, and it's not where God wanted us to live forever ever. So I didn't get the mortgage for it, and we just sort of thought, oh, you know what, forget this is just a whole handling. This is a lot harder work than what we intended it to be. And we actually still didn't have the deposit and things like that, but we were seriously thinking about getting a deposit together because we were first time buyers, but it wasn't meant to be. And what happened was, we were able to claim benefits to help us, and you know, we would have been in financial suicide if we'd have got that mortgage, to be fair. So this is the way it worked out, and it's just part of God's plan. So I was like, well, I'm not going to sit here and look at his miserable face. I'm gonna do something. And my nursing came back into my head again. And at this time, actually, we only had Alana. We didn't have Farah. And I applied to college behind his back. I wasn't being sneaky, but I just thought, I didn't want to tell him in case I didn't get in. In case, like, he'd be like, what are you trying to do? Sure, how did you think? Yeah, I'm going to do that. So I just quietly applied for it and thought, I'll see where this goes. And I was still working a Thursday and a Friday in the hospital, like admin, and I applied for this course, and the course was part-time, so I done it. It worked out so well. Like, I didn't even worry about any of these things at the time. We're like, now I'm like, I work these days, and what if this course is going to run on this day, and I'm not going to be able to go to that course. And I'm sometimes ignorance is bliss. I was totally unaware that this was all going on, and just God sorted it out. So the course was running Mondays and Tuesdays, and I worked Thursdays and Fridays, and I had a Wednesday off, and I was still able to go to mothers and daughters and things and spend time with the kids. and I said to him, I've got into this course, I'm gonna go. And he said, okay. He says, well, I'm not getting anything in the job front, so, but we need to get rid of a car, Emma, we can't afford the car. And I was like, okay. So we got rid of one of our cars, and that left us with one. And he would drive me over to the opposite side of town, drop me off to the college. I'd have stayed there all day long. It was like right until, it was like 9 to 5, Monday and Tuesday. So me and Alana went across there. She got into the wee nursery beside us because she was still being breastfed at this time. And no, she wasn't, that's lies. But I wanted her to go with me because I'm just that sort of weirdo mum. I just want my kids to go everywhere with me. And so she came, and they gave her a free place for the nursery. And it meant Philip didn't have all the kids on his own all day long, because this was new to him, because he was now going to stay at home full time with the kids. And he's done a few wee odd jobs, nothing massive, children's nursing, and it just wasn't as good, and that's my personal opinion. And I'm glad that I went to the other university up in Derry, Londonderry, to study, because it was an excellent education. So shout out to all of the teachers up at University of Ulster. It was at the time, it's now Ulster University, for the nursing school. They're amazing. It was really tough. It was actually really, really tough, because the standard they wanted you to write to was really high, and it was like, it near took me out. The third year, I remember sitting, it was the first semester of third year, and crying in my bed, and Philip had come in and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I don't think I'm going to pass this. This is so hard. This is so hard." And the devil tried to take me out so many times, and I just kept going, and I wasn't even like spiritually aware at the time, but I just kept going, and he kept saying to me, "Emma, you're nearly done. You have literally another semester to do, one placement, and you're done. Like, don't give up." And he really encouraged me, and I was like, right, I have to do this. Like, I have no other option. Like, I have given up my job and everything, and look at the situation that we're in, and he's not working, and I did feel really guilty. It was like, oh, I'm just gonna, what do we do? If I don't do this, what are we doing? Because the issue was, I was going to get a job as a nurse as well as Philip, work full time, and it would help us afford our kids basically, and a better life. So I just kept going. It was tough, but I got over that, and it was okay, and teachers were really helpful, and got qualified as a nurse. And I remember coming home and saying to him, right, that's me qualified, you need to get a job. I need a job the next day. I needed a job the next day, and I was waiting for offers from some of the hospitals to give me a job, and then my mum took over our childcare, and yeah, that's what we done for a couple of years. We worked really hard, we lived off benefits, and we worked really hard, studied really hard. Kids were able to stay at home with him rather than me, and were reared by us in our wee family, and with support from our other family members, and God allowed me to get an education. So I didn't get the education 10 years before, but I got it 10 years after, because God's plan for your life always works out, and I didn't even realise. I just had this like yearning inside of me that I wanted to be a nurse. I didn't even know why I wanted to be a nurse. I could have picked so many other jobs, honestly, but it's the gifts that he gives, so they have to be used in the right way, and I do believe that's why I am a nurse. Like, I love being a nurse. I wouldn't change my job for anything else. And I've worked really, really, really hard. Like, every year I'm at something, I'm studying something. It just is never ending. And then I got my job in one of the hospitals in Belfast, and then in 2021 I was given the option to go back to university for a further 2 years and do my children's nursing, and it was commissioned by the Department of Health, it was paid for. I remained on my basic wage, and I was like, in my mind I was like, A&E is really difficult, I'm really tired, let's apply for this course and get me out of here. That was what was in my mind. And also I complained enough about looking after children and not knowing what I was doing that this course was available. Why would you not do it? So I applied for it, and actually one of the sisters got the position, and I was told that I didn't get it. And at this time I had said to my husband, if I get this, you can't take your new job, because he had applied for a new job, and it was a better job. And if I don't get this, go ahead and take the job. So God told me I didn't get it, and he took the new job. And then a couple of days later I was contacted by one of the sisters saying, actually the sister that got the position, she can't do the course, do you want it? And I was like, oh, hold on, like, you told me I didn't get this, and my husband's taking another job, and I would need to sort this out. So I rang him, and he was like, it'll work out. This is him again, it'll work out, it'll always work out. It always did work out, he was always alright. It'll work out, we'll make it work. And you know, this is the last year that they are offering the paediatric course, so you should take it. And I was like, good point, okay. He says it'll work, it's always worked out, it'll work, don't worry. And I took the course, and I got an additional 2 years, and this is no word of a lie, was doing that course, COVID hit, and I had to study from home, so I couldn't travel up to university in Belfast. I had to study from home, and okay, maybe that's unfair for the Belfast University because I didn't really go. I was studying at home. I didn't have the right experience, I suppose, of the university, so that's maybe fair and unfair, so I retract that statement. But I still think University of Ulster was a hard course, but it was a good education. I don't regret it. And maybe that's why I didn't go to Queen's, because God knew I was going to go to Queen's after, because they wouldn't have taken me, I don't think, if I'd have done a Queen's University course before or something like that. So it all worked out. I don't know. But that course was so easy for me because I'd already done the adult nursing. I knew how to write, I knew what they expected, and I flew through that course. Not that I'm super brainy smart, it was repeating the same sort of thing, only there was specifics with children, which allowed me to really concentrate on that. What I needed to glean out of placements and what I was to write on that would help me with my job in A&E looking after sick kids. And I was able to stay at home because I didn't have any childcare, and I had 4 kids who were still at school. So we all sat around the table, and all 4 of my kids would have done their homework and their online stuff, and then I was online doing my lectures as well. So God had it all worked out, and if you cannot see God's hand in my life throughout all of that, He moved people out of positions to put me in them because it was the right time, the right resources, the right place, and His plan will not be scuppered. It will go forward. So I didn't plan any of this stuff. God put all these notions in my mind. You apply for this and that. You know, He'll make you unsettled in a job, and you're like, you start looking at other things, then you go and apply for these things. That's where He wants you to go. It's not your genius mind. It's where He wants you to go because He needs you to be in a certain position in the future. And the job I do now, I run a wee vaccine baby clinic, and you have to be appropriately qualified to be able to do that. So perfect. And also it really did help me when I worked in A&E with sick children. Some of the sickest children coming in that were transferred to the ICU unit, and when I was on shift I sort of got landed with them, and I loved it. And that sounds terrible, but I loved looking after the sick kids. It's a really important job, and when you see parents' faces so frightened and worried, and you know, like, how to give them antibiotics, you know, like, how they're looking and what to do and how to monitor them and everything. It's a lovely job to be able to serve people in some of their darkest hours concerning their children. And people always appreciate us, but I really appreciated the fact that I was given the opportunity to learn all those skills to be able to do that job. I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. And if there was one thing I would say to you now about my job that I'm doing now, is that I miss that bit. I miss looking after the sick kids and seeing them, the help that we can give them, and all of the training that I done all makes sense. And a fantastic team. So, but that's okay, because God doesn't want me to look after extremely unwell kids anymore in this country. I don't believe. I think He's other things for me to do, but not yet. And it's now nice that the job I do is less stressful, it's calm, and I still get to look after adults and children. So ticked all the boxes. He gave me exactly what I needed, and I trust whatever path He has me on, that's what we're doing. So that's what happened for that. My husband got a job straight away, and we were still going to church, and then when COVID came, nobody went to church, and we were quite upset about that, because we believed, like, Jesus is a healer. We believed that we shouldn't be kept back from praising God, and we couldn't understand why churches were closing, because they didn't have to. They could have put restrictions in and allowed people to go, and we become so obsessed and being angry with churches closing and not being able to go to church and being confined by these rules and regulations. Like, the Holy Spirit really did stir on us. Like, we become quite zealous at the time, you know, particularly my husband. He doesn't have a filter and things to do with that, and I was like, look, it is what it is. We didn't do any online services I do all the time. Yeah, so the lesson in that is don't panic. I'm telling myself this because I still, what if I do that, and what if it doesn't work this day, and what if it doesn't work? Just stop. What is the verse in the Bible that says, don't worry about tomorrow because today has enough worries of its own? Worrying doesn't add any time to your life, actually just takes away from your life. So you're in the palm of his hand, and your whole life he has it planned out. So don't worry about it because it'll all work out. And whenever things don't go the way that you think it should be going, or don't go the way that you want it to go, be mindful of God and his will for your life, and just accept it. Go with it, because you just don't know where it'll take you to. And I'm sitting in that position now, and I did not want to leave A&E. That's all I ever wanted to train for, but I knew emotionally, physically, mentally I couldn't do it anymore, and God was clearly telling me to leave, not because it was bad or anything like that, but leave this. You need to cross the Jordan into a new promised land. And he brought me my new job, which I'll talk about in a different video. So yeah, don't lean on your own understanding. That's my verse, Proverbs 3, 5 and 6. Lean not on your own understanding, trust him, all your ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct your path. And that is literally the verse that my mum ingrained in me as a child, and I know now why that's my verse, because this is my life. He has it mapped out, and he moves people out of places to put me into them. And I'm not anything special, I tell you this, because God will do it for you. Trust him, acknowledge him, go with him. And sometimes you don't even realise it's happening because you're so unaware of him. So be mindful of him and thank him for it and trust him. And here, you'll be grand. Sure, you'll be in a cracking job like I am and earning good, decent money, you know, and like, living your purpose. Like, I feel fulfilled in this job. I definitely do. I feel like I have a purpose to help people, and that is my gift in being a nurse, is to pour into others the hands and the feet of Jesus. Yeah, because so many people that come to see me are broken, or they're full of grief because they've lost their loved one and they can't cope and they can't get over it. Or sometimes they're just so sick and they don't realise, and they just need someone who has worked in a crazy environment with really sick people to tell them how sick they actually are and how they need to rest, and health advice and just simple stuff. But this job is so fulfilling. I feel like I was always born to do this job. So yeah, I don't know if you're a mad scientist or an astrophysicist or something strange, you're like, how did I get here? Trust God, because that's what he wants you to do. So, and he'll put that desire in your heart to make you do it. It's like God always plays tricks on me because I think I'm the one that's planning all this. No, this was my destiny from before I was even in my mother's womb, as David says. He created you and knew you before you were even in your mother's womb, long before the world even began. So that's my job. So in the next video I'll talk about some other stuff that happened to us and where we ended up after that. And I suppose the big lesson out of this that I haven't even got to yet is do not forget God. Do not let things like COVID or these things distract you. You must hold on to your faith. You must hold on to your faith. You must have the truth embedded in your heart, in your mind, in your spirit, and do not get offended. Do not look to the left or right. You stay focused on God, and that way you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong, because the next video I'm going to share is where we went wrong, where I went wrong. Yeah, so it's going to take me some bravery to fess up to some of the stuff that I had done in that time period in my life. It's not easy to speak about. I do not like to glorify sin, but this is a very real thing that happened to me and my family and my husband, and but also off the back of it, an amazing miracle that God performed. And again, He does it for me, He will do it for you. And yeah, it's amazing. share it. I have to tell you. If I don't tell you, I'm going to explode. Yeah, and it would be a waste of a testimony if it was never spoke about. And sometimes I say things to people and they're like, really? That happened to you? Like, surely these things happen to you. But I just think things happen to people and they aren't aware of it. They just haven't had the veil of their eyes just yet. But it'll come, and then they will know who the Lord their God is, as it says in Chronicles and all throughout the Bible. And then you will know who the Lord your God is. And I certainly know who my Lord and my God is through my life so far, and I'm only 40. So I'm like, what's gonna happen in the next 40 years? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that's what happened so far. So on to the next video.